Oh buddy, Andy here again. Well, in a recent blog post that I did on my blog, and I put a link to it somewhere, wherever the box is these days, I was talking about perfection, specifically to do with recording techniques, due to another podcast that I've been listening to. And what they were saying in there is the way that recording techniques have changed over the years. No, computerisation, digitalisation, if that's the right word, if that is a word. And one of the things they were saying, that since the sort of 1980s, when the sort of click track came in for drummers, nothing ever has been out of time. There's no need for anything to have been out of time. And since the sort of 1990s, nothing's ever been out of tune. And talking about, you know, the auto-tune feature we get now, which means that no singer is ever out of tune. And you hear it in so many tracks now that are in the top 40s of whichever country that you happen to live in. The vast majority, if not all of them, will use that auto-tune technique. And what I was saying in the blog was that sort of ruins things, because perfection's great. Perfection's all right. And okay, perfection for me isn't perfection for you. And maybe that's the point that I'm trying to make here, is that there are some great music, etc., and probably lots of other different great art out there which isn't perfect. There are mistakes embedded within the particular recording or something like that. And one of the examples I used was actually The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. Now, if you listen to that particular song, the whole backing track seems to be completely out of sync at certain times. And I actually found out the reason for that afterwards, is because the record company obviously didn't like the original recording and they overdubbed a backing track on it, which is probably why it's slightly out of tune. But there are other great examples. Another one I used, having been an ex-drummer, I do notice these things, but Keith Moon, at the beginning of The Who's Barbara O'Reilly, when Keith Moon comes in, he actually has to slow himself down. You can hear him slowing himself down because he's a bit too enthusiastic. But I love that. It's something that, okay, once you've heard it, you can't ever lose it. You will always remember it. And I've infuriated certain people with other ones that I've noticed myself. And I said, oh, listen to this. You listen to where he goes wrong here, or that's slightly out of time, or whatever it is. And that person, oh no, I've never heard that before. And then you can never get it out of your head. But I don't necessarily like things to be absolutely perfect. I'd rather that the voices were different. As I said, auto-tune nowadays is very prevalent, and I think it ruins things. You would never get people like Leonard Cohen, maybe, or Bob Dylan, or Johnny Cash, or Johnny Rotten, John Lydon, or whatever you want to call him. All these other great vocalists, unique, different vocalists that we hear. Neil Young's another good example. Probably would never get a recording contract now. Well, not in the way that they did then. They probably wouldn't have built up a following, because they would be suffering nowadays. They wouldn't get to the forefront. Okay, this is partly tied up with the whole American Idol X Factor type thing. Once again, they're looking for that perfection, someone that they can mould and they can change and use auto-tune on their voices. And another point that came out in that particular podcast was that songs, I think it was Ricky Martin's Living La Vida Loca, is it? I think it is. That song, it's a great pop song, but that was recorded. There's no human people on there apart from the voice itself, and that's probably auto-tuned. That's all computer programming. Now, is that really what we want? Is that really what we want? Just digitally enhanced, digitally produced art, should we say? I'd much rather that there were real people involved with it, making real mistakes and putting real effort into it, rather than having a perfection. As I said before, perfection for you isn't necessarily perfection me. Maybe perfection is in the eye or the ear of the beholder, as I said to someone the other day in the comments. But personally, I'd like things to, you know, to have a bit of rough edges or something like that, whether it be writing, whether it be in film, music, anything, any type of art form. So let me know what you think. What do you think about perfection? Is perfection a good thing? Is perfection a bad thing? And is there such thing as perfection? There certainly won't be universal perfection, because as I said, what you think's great, I might not like. But that's not perfect either, is it? And that's the point. I suppose if it was a real perfect world, we'd all agree on everything. And who on earth would want that sort of thing to happen? Anyway, I'll leave you there. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.